Secret guardians, starry bright, fiery ones beyond our sight, saints of yore, Buddhas too, guiding lights to me and you.
Chapter 9. Belfast, Northern Ireland, Ballymagary District, Rusakov Residence. Glencairn Road. May 1999. I waited outside my building that Friday night for Anna to pick me up. I didn't quite know what to expect at Anna's home, and my nerves only grew when she arrived on her Derby moped, not her mom's Peugeot. This was going to be one bone-chilling ride. Anna seemed to read my uncertain expression. "Sorry, Mama was called to the hospital, so I couldn't use her pug. We'll be fine. It's not far from my house." After retreating inside to find a pair of gloves and a hat, I reappeared, hopped on the back, and held on for dear life as she weaved her way through Belfast's rush hour traffic. My imagination ran wild as we hurled through the slick streets. I envisioned a room full of strangers waiting to meet me. What would I say to them? How much could I say? I was relieved that Anna believed me, but she couldn't expect me to trust strangers with my secrets. My fears took a back seat as we pulled into Anna's driveway, and I took in her house for the first time. Anna caught the look on my face and smiled as she led me inside. I stepped into the Rusakov centuries-old home, mouth agape as I tried to absorb all that was around me. Reminders of the importance of the family's spiritual roots were everywhere. There were icons of Russian saints lining the foyer. I'd not heard of most, but I recognized one that Anna had told me about during one of our teas. A replica of a painting depicting St. Mary as Our Lady of Kazan, known to Orthodox devotees as the Holy Protectress of Russia. The foyer was lit by a crystal chandelier and graced by a handcrafted oak staircase that had darkened over the years. I could well imagine a family of loyalist gentry once living here. "What do you think?" Anna whispered. I gave her a quick look, then whispered back, "Your home is so perfect." I was starting to warm up from our teeth-chattering ride. My cautious soul was warming too. Displayed also in the grand foyer was a handsomely framed copy of the famous last photo of Tsar Nicholas II with his elegant family, his wife and 5 children. Less than a year before their execution-style murder in 1918. I lingered over the photo, my heart hurting at the sadness of it all. Their senseless killing, and the tens of millions more slaughtered under Soviet rule in the decades since. No wonder this noble family had tried to flee when they could. Anna found her father and introduced us. "Papa, this is my sweet friend Jen." Alec Rusakov could have stepped out of the pages of a book on Russian aristocracy. His was a strong face, highlighted by lively blue eyes, a well-trimmed beard, and a thick head of dark hair cropped short and greying around the temples. He gave me a small bow. "Welcome to our home, Jen. I'm glad you could come." His kind manner, though formal, impressed me greatly. "Anna, why don't the two of you help yourselves to the buffet? You better hurry before your brothers eat it all." Alec gestured to the doorway on our right, and I followed Anna dutifully. Guests were visiting with each other and helping themselves to the generous meal set out on the dining room table. A lively Irish reel tumbled out from an adjacent room. I leaned past the queue to take a closer look. The room was full of people closer to my age than the rest of the guests. A small group of musicians played in the centre, while a few others loitered around them, tapping toes and letting the sounds soak into their bones. Curiosity got the better of me. I left Anna and poked my head into the room. One of the musicians startled ever so slightly. I met his warm dark eyes. By his darker complexion, I guessed him Italian or perhaps Spanish, not native Irish. He seemed to be trying to place me, as if we'd met before. But I was sure we hadn't. Or had we? Anna slid her arm into mine. By nods and smiles, others in the group acknowledged us. "These are my friends, the ones who want to meet you," Anna said softly. "But we can eat first." Reluctantly, I let her pull me away. Food sounded wonderful. I couldn't remember when I'd last eaten. Oh yeah, ballop and tea for breakfast. "You won't find dishes like this in the school cafeteria," Anna said, as we approached the spread. True to her father's warning, Anna's younger brothers Alexei and Misha were already there heaping food onto their plates. "Mama's chicken soup is in the crock pot there. It's the same as I brought to school that day, remember?" "I do. I was famished, and your soup saved me." "I am so happy you did not famish, Devushka," Anna said, with a straight face. "And tonight, special for you, we have more than soup. This is kale over there, more vegetables under that lid, and sauerkraut in the dish there." "Special for me?" I smiled inwardly at Anna's off-key wording. "Yes, Devushka, for you and everyone." "Well, thank you." I eyed a finely chopped white vegetable. "What's this?" "That is pickled daikon, a type of radish." I fished out a piece and tried it. "Spicy." "Yes, you do not need a lot." "I can't wait to try all this. I'm so hungry." "Your mother is a doctor and she still has time to do this?" It sounded like a lot of work. It also sounded like Anna loved the subject too. Her passion is studying the science of food. Right now, new studies are changing her thinking, and that has surprised her. Cooking and right diet are like breathing for her. I love it too. I'm sorry she could not be here to visit with us, but she got called in at the last minute. I would have loved to get to know Tanya Rusakov better. Anna always spoke so highly of her, but at least I could appreciate the delicious meal and ponder her mother's intriguing interest in food. We waited until the small band took a break before Anna brought me over to introduce me to her friends, who it turned out were a couple of years older than us, college age mostly. "This is Jen, a special friend," Anna said, "and a kindred spirit, I think you'll see." "Anna told me she was so excited you were coming tonight," a young woman named Claire Malloy said. Claire was the fiddle player of the group, and quite a wonderful player too, by my ear. With her black curls riding every which way and her dark eyes, I could well imagine her as part of a gypsy troupe in a bygone time. I was also introduced to Eamon Doherty and Tom Adams, roommates at their university. Last to be introduced was the intriguing Luke Song, the one who had seemed familiar to me in an impossible way. Luke was also the fine bouzouki player of the group. He had watched me quietly as I was introduced to everyone, and when he gave me a friendly smile, a small thrill spread through me, which unnerved me, I must say. "We're so glad you made it here," Claire said. "We were worried you'd die by fright having to ride on that infernal machine Anna drives, and in the cold and damp no less. Claire glanced over at Anna, a twinkle in her brown eyes. If you look up danger in the dictionary, what you'll find is a picture of Anna, all smiley and innocent looking. Right, sister? Anna played along, shooting an offended look at her friend. Oh, sure, right as it rains daily in the Sahara, right as it does not in the land of Erin. Speaking of. As if on cue, raindrops could be heard spattering outside. A few at first, then a steady drumming. See? Just as I said, right as it never rains in Ireland. It was obvious these two had rehearsed this script before. Peace. Enough. The speaker was the intriguing one, Luke Song. I was startled to hear an American accent. I hereby declare a truce between Claire, the real star of the County Down, and Anna, Megan of the House of Rusakov. Anna crossed her arms and sunk into the sofa. Luke Song, you know I do not speak Gaelic. Now I have two of you playing fun with me. Sad Anna. Anna put on her best poor me face, but she could only hold it for a few seconds. Then she smiled, and a few milliamps of her brightness escaped into the room. Everyone in the circle noticed. Megan means pearl, I said quietly. The rest of the group turned to look at me, waiting to see if I had more to say. I felt the blush rise up my cheeks and I ducked my face. Luke smiled wide. Your friend is right. Sweet Anna, you are the pearl of the House of Rusakov. I hope that puts you at ease, darling. Anna was charmed. And Luke Song, with the dark eyes and the sun-browned face, was beginning to charm me too. This was no edgy boy. This was someone with a river of energy running deep. Eamon chuckled. So you're a peacemaker now, Luke? That's interesting. I seem to recall a different kind of maker. I believe the term we used was troublemaker, wasn't it? That too, Luke deadpanned. Claire bowed her fiddle, and by unspoken agreement the group took up playing again. Anna seamlessly joined in the tune with the tin whistle she'd magically produced. Without much more than subtle nods to each other, the group flawlessly transitioned from melody to melody. I didn't play an instrument, so I contented myself with listening. The lilting airs comforted me, like waves caressing a beach. Luke's strong aura was what first drew my eyes to him. His fingertips were actually pulsing with colours as he played jigs and reels, but even more so when the group launched into a rousing version of the Corries' famous anthem, Flower of Scotland. I remembered the chorus, so I sang along with abandon, completely taken up in the music. After the song ended, everyone but Luke, Anna and Tom excused themselves to head to the buffet. Luke kept stealing glances at me. Finally he gave up and just stared, albeit pleasantly. I kept my eyes at my toes. I looked up when I heard my name. Anna was right, Jen. It's not your fault, and I'm sorry if it embarrasses you, but I must say, you're astonishingly pretty. Astonishingly pretty? Immediately Luke's face flushed, as if he realised he'd been way too fresh with me. He looked away, his expression rueful. As for me, I was the astonished one, and more than a little embarrassed too. I was glad to see Luke's regret. Why did he say that in front of Anna and this person I'd just met, Tom? Why did he say it at all? I must say it gave me pause. No one had ever said such a thing to me, nor anything remotely close. In fact, all I'd ever heard regarding my looks were the occasional off-colour comments, including racial slurs that I'd encountered here and there. Though I was Irish, through and through, I'd always felt self-conscious because of my Asian looks, Plus, I'd made it a point since entering secondary school to do everything in my power to not draw attention. I didn't wear makeup, and day in, day out, I dressed in the same jeans and t-shirt outfits, with either my lightweight pullover or heavier coat, depending on the weather. I was certain I was not pretty, especially not astonishingly so. I'm sure Luke saw the shocked look on my face, but he seemed to have recovered from his chagrin, for he continued his advance on me. Anna also tells me we might have something in common, he offered. Not knowing what to say, I didn't reply. I gave Anna a stern look. Didn't she know me well enough to realise that I was socially in over my head, and that this Luke friend of hers was coming on too strong? Jeanne, Luke is American, Anna said, as if that explained everything. I know, I said for lack of a better reply. And Americans, she continued, are sometimes, what is the word? That would be outspoken, my Russian friend. And I plead guilty. I just like getting the small talk out of the way so we can discuss bigger things. Tom rolled his eyes in disbelief. No worries, Luke, he said. You just bludgeoned small talk. He's not getting up off the turf anytime soon. He mimed a dramatic fall backward, almost spilling his water glass in the process. He righted himself and mouthed an apology to Anna. Okay, I get it, Luke said, turning to me. I'm sorry, Jeanne. I don't mean to come at you like wild horses, but it seems I have, sad to say. Luke seemed genuinely remorseful for his remark. He was both a grown man oozing self-confidence and a red-faced kid in front of a pretty girl. Whew, my thoughts swirled. The man in him smiled and said, let me try to make it up to you, and the others in our little circle here. I would like to tell you a story, and then you can judge for yourself if we have anything in common. As I hadn't yet worked up the nerve to engage in actual conversation, I just nodded my approval. I thought I saw Luke wink at me, but it was quick and subtle if he did. I have a recurring dream, but it's more than a dream, you know? In it, I'm performing in a most magnificent orchestra. I'm playing an instrument that doesn't exist on Earth. I've searched every resource I could get my hands on, and I can't find this instrument anywhere. Like I said, it doesn't exist, but it's real. The sound it makes and the music the orchestra makes and the feeling that overcomes me, they also don't exist here on Earth. These things, whatever they are, only exist in worlds beyond Earth, to put it very simply. Startled, I automatically drew a slow, calming breath. I feared Luke was heading into territory uncomfortably close to my heart. Some call those the heaven worlds, Tom added softly. Luke nodded. From experiences like these, I've come to believe that if we have enough peace about us, or whatever state of mastery is needed, we are, by some means, allowed to visit such worlds as our bodies rest at night. Whether rarely or less than rarely, I don't know. For me, it's been quite rare at least. Those I remember. It seems to be another step entirely to remember my experiences when waking. As Luke spoke, I felt presences who I later came to believe were angels, refreshing me like a nighttime breeze through my window. I stared at Luke with a new awe. There were others like me who remembered their journeys to higher octaves. Perhaps that was why his aura was so strong. Perhaps he could answer questions I had about my own trip home. But all of those revelations could wait. For now, I sat in the single most comforting revelation. I wasn't alone. And I wasn't mad. Devushka, your eyes are dancing, Anna exclaimed. Are you okay? I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. Anna hesitated, glancing around the room, then back at me. I know you are meeting my friends here for the first time, but they are much like you, so maybe could they hear some of your story? Claire and Eamon had rejoined the group, and Claire now was sitting quietly on the floor, a pillow between her and the wall. With Tom, Luke and Anna, 6 of us were all that was left of the party. The last of Anna's parents' friends had all gone home, after which her family had retired upstairs. I wet my lips, painfully aware of all the eyes on me. I'll try, if you really want to hear. Why did I say that? What has gotten into me? I just met these people. My new friends nodded in the affirmative, their expressions expectant. Outside, the rain continued to sing on the porch roof. My soul was singing too. I began to tell my story, strange as it was. Stranger still, as I spoke, my fear faded. I sensed it was time to get it out and that I was safe here, mostly because Anna was with me. So I dived in. I had given up, just so you know, I began, then paused to collect myself. I sat there for a moment with my eyes closed. Finally, fully at peace, I continued. How does a kid with a full life ahead of her give up? Well, like this. Again I paused to remember. Scenes from recent weeks came flooding back. Even though I had no family except my grandmother, Mola, I did have, or thought I had, friends who were always near me. Because I felt them nearby when I prayed, and I felt protected. You know them. Jesus, and Mary, and Saint Joseph. I also had my guardian angel. I believed this with all my heart, and I prayed to them every night. I held on to them as my family because really I had almost no family. And then a horrible thing happened. My grandmother, who raised me, had a heart attack. And then she died. As I told this story, my bottled up sadness came to the surface, and I had to fight to keep the tears in. For a time I sat in silence, not daring to continue for fear of becoming totally lost in sorrow, which seemed to be far greater than I should have felt. But who knows the depths of the memories we carry? No one moved or said a word. The house was quiet but for the hum of the rain outside. Finally I wiped my wet eyes on my sleeve and continued. And though I couldn't see it at the time, I felt abandoned all over again. And looking back now, I realized that I'd gotten angry. Angry with God for what I thought He'd done to me. And for the first time in my life, I turned my back on Him. I stopped going to Mass. Even worse, I stopped praying. And I began to doubt if there even was a heaven that we came from and went back to after we died. I got involved with a wrong crowd where all we did, well, I'd rather not say. Then, very fast, Anna came into my life, and soon after that the saints returned in a more real way than I'd ever known. I found myself in a place not of this earth where I was taught by a being so loving, it's beyond description. As best I could, I shared the details of my journey just as I had told Anna. I should have been aghast at even thinking about sharing such a precious experience, as if I might be profaning something sacred or sharing something way too personal. But strange to say, I just wasn't. Everyone listened respectfully throughout the story. No one asked questions. It was as if the room had become a little chapel where reverence ruled. I was thankful for that. All I can say is the experience has stayed with me. As if there's something in here, I said, lightly touching my heart, that I can feel buoying me up. I think it's hope. Real hope. Now I go to church just to sit surrounded by all the stained glass images of Jesus and the saints. Because now I know more than I ever did. That they are real people, just like you and me. And they love us, more than we can understand. And they'll guide us if we ask. When I finished, I realised that the rain had stopped, and now an introspective hush had settled over the small band of friends. Anna, Luke and Claire exchanged knowing looks, and Luke gave a small nod, as if confirming some question Anna had posed. Without further explanation, the group all stood and made their farewells. One by one they left, leaving just Anna on the sofa with me. I didn't speak, caught up as I was in the memories of Mola, and fearful that my story had scared off this potential group of friends. Finally, Anna broke the silence. "Why don't you stay here for the night? We would love for you to join us for breakfast out. Claire and Luke are coming, and Tom and Eamon." "Thanks. I'd love to sleep here," I said. I was so tired I could have fallen asleep standing up. "And breakfast with your friends sounds like fun." I stifled a yawn. Inside I smiled, happy for once. "One thing though. Promise I can catch a ride in someone's car to wherever this breakfast is going to be. Nothing against your driving, Anna, but I think I'd freeze and fall off if I had to ride on the back of that scooter thing again." My friend rolled her eyes playfully. "Okay. Claire can pick us up tomorrow. I will call her. She drives a marvellously safe, fully enclosed car. It's a Fiat, very warm and comfy. Now, to bed with you." Anna took me by the hand. "Follow me. I'll make sure you don't get lost on the way. I might even tuck you in." She escorted me to a tiny bedroom upstairs, though I don't even recall crawling under the covers. I do remember asking heaven for the guidance I would need to make sense of the mysteries in my life, old and new.